SSA Gold Rush Gaming Men's Major National Championship. We got Iron playing Resmondo. Leadoff man Tyler Atkins just grounded out, and that brings up Nate Kremkow trying to hide in the shade over here. Very warm early here on the turf. Supposed to cool off. So we're getting our second look at Resmondo, and Iron a little bit of a higher level major team than Impact was. So this should be a nice step up. And, of course, some of these Resmondo guys played in the All-Star game last night, and they had a full game. So just underway here. And there's a little ground ball to short. And that ball slipped out of his hand, but it got to first. Nice pickup there by Pearson. So the shortstop looked like he had a little problem there. The ball was spinning in the mitt, but he made the play. So Kyle Pearson, well, they got two Kyle Pearsons on the roster, shortstop, first baseman, both named Pearson. So we are underway here. Beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. So make plans. We'll be going all day, and there's a line drive to the short center. So Iron goes 1-2-3. Resmondo coming to bat here in the bottom of the first. Just underway. We got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. So you may want to head on out today. We got softball all day. Last games are at 6:45. Then we'll have the home run hitting contest. And that should be a lot of fun as well. I haven't checked with Anthony Tyler to see how many people registered for it, but it should be a lot of fun. And it's going to be on either this Diamond 1 or 4. And we'll see based on which way the wind's blowing. Because obviously we'd like to have a home run contest with the wind blowing out, give everybody a thrill. So just underway here. The bracket board was up to date this morning, so you can check on what's going on. A couple of early games happening. Hex and Hall of Fame were tied in the 10 o'clock game last time I looked, and I'm not sure if they're still playing. It was 5-5, and can't quite see the scoreboard. Looks like it might be 12-7 over there. And if they're in the correct dugouts, I believe Hall of Fame is winning that game. Not sure. It could be over. So I think Hall of Fame might have beat Hex. So here we go. Leadoff man Josh Riley, and he pounds it on the ground. A little pitch and catch. So the shortstop handled it cleanly. Chapo Bolinas with the play. So what we saw yesterday, talking to Brett Helmer, the manager, was in the first couple innings, we had an in-game interview with him, and he had indicated early yesterday they were all trying to drive the ball, but with the heat and the humidity, the ball just wasn't really going anywhere. And there's a crisp line drive into right field, base hit. So Pearson gets a base hit.
Hey, Matty, you saw it!
Kyle Pearson, first hit of the ball game for Resmondo, as he took a high outside pitch and just hit a line drive over the infield. So it brings up Jason Matuzik. It looks pretty much the same lineup as they had last night. And again, they only have 12 guys on their card. And there's a long ball into the gap, and that's going to get down, cut off by the right fielder. And that's going to be the first run of the game. So Matuzik drives it up the alley in right center field, and Resmondo takes a very early 1-0 lead here. Bottom of the first. Here comes Phil Matt. So last night Resmondo was wearing black uniforms. Now they got the red with the white pants. Conservative single stripe down the leg. So Resmondo's making the adjustment to the 16-inch game. And there's a line drive over the infield. Matuzik is going to turn and score 2-0. And they're problematic because they got a lot of big guys that can drive the ball. So you have to respect that in the outfield. Have not really seen them so far anyways. This is Bubba Mack. So I haven't really seen them use the foul lines too much. It seems like everything they're hitting has been toward the alley, and he drops the ball. So Kalaga got there, had it in his mitt, looked like it hit the palm of his glove and popped right out. So Iron off to a little bit of a slow start here, trailing 2-0 already. One out here, and they got second and third. So Bubba Clark hit a long fly ball. Kalaga got there but couldn't hold on, and here's the pitcher, Travis Clark. And yesterday during the All-Star game, he had a couple of line drives. And there's another one, and that's going to score two more, 4-0. Resmondo, now he's going to go to second as the Iron outfield a little slow getting it in. So 4-0 here. Bottom of the first. It's going to bring up Buddy Wolf.
So if they got one hit, they don't get seven. But the idea is you're in it. If you see it wide open,
CJ saw a couple of these Resmondo hitters yesterday in the All-Star game. And if you didn't get a chance to watch that, go back. And there's a long drive to right field. Kalaga tracks it. This time he squeezes it. And they're going to try to do a double tag. They overshoot the cutoff man. And scoring from second base there is the pitcher, Clark. So quick 5-run lead here. Kalaga tracked it well. He went back just shy of the warning track out there. Made the catch. And there's a swing. That ball hit foul and out of play. Fan deflects it back in. So this is Pearson, although the back of his jersey says Clark. So CJ a little looked over to the bench and lobbed it up there. See CJ trying to keep the ball high. And there he didn't quite get his hands out. Hits a high fly ball. Left fielder Tyler Atkins makes the play. But in the inning, Resmondo jumps up 5-0 on Iron. As we head to the top of the second. So the error played a little bit of a role there. Probably cost Iron a couple of runs.
Relax, man. Let's go.
So we'll see how they react. And now this time in a little different. You can see the flag, which way the wind is blowing toward right. I think Danny's telling his young outfielders that anything that's hit up that high, and Resmondo does hit some high fly balls, that ball's going to get helped and pushed a little bit. So leading off here is going to be Lane Neiman Jr., then Chapo Belinas and Brian Toomey. So the inning started out okay for Iron as Josh Riley beat one into the ground to the shortstop. And then Resmondo started throwing humpbacks out and pushed 5 across. So here's Lane Neiman Jr., and Lane's coming along very nicely, young player. It seems like every year he's getting a little better and a little better. And I've said all summer. I think Iron is maybe a couple of big bats. And there's a line drive snagged by the shortstop. So he hit it good. But with the gloves, it's an out. No glove, that might have been a hit. So here's Chapo Bolinas, the shortstop. And he just tries to cut it, and that ball is just foul, not by much. And I think part of the issue here is obviously Resmondo's got a lot of talented players. But when you factor that in with the fact that nobody's really seen him play 16-inch, they're a little bit of a mystery. But talking to some of the Resmondo guys, so far they've really enjoyed being here in Chicago. And why wouldn't they? 16-inch, and Chapo just drills it past the third baseman. And that's a good example. Chapo threw the cutout there, and Resmondo, it's the outfield really cheating him. And so far we haven't seen any of the last night, or of course we're early here, but we haven't seen anybody really take advantage of the fact that they're cheating a lot of guys in their outfield. So here's Brian Toomey now. And there's a little ground ball up the middle. He'll step and throw, double play. And that's about the fifth or sixth time we've seen teams hit the ball right up the middle for double plays. Again, we are playing open count, so no reason for hitters to be anxious up there, but I think these guys are playing Resmondo, and some of them are getting a little hyped up in the batter's box instead of just doing their thing. So we're going to be live streaming all day. We'll have games here and there, and it should be a good, fun day. A little warm here. Going to try to have Will Russ, George Bliss. Hopefully he's going to be out here. He'll do a game, and we'll see how the day progresses. So leading off, Corey Briggs will be followed by Brett Reckard and then Kevin Bazak. Briggs hits a high fly ball. Center fielder is there, and Nate Kremkow makes the play. It brings up Brad Reckard, the second baseman. And there's a little flat pitch toward the outside. Now he just guides it up the middle for a base hit. So CJ snuck a low strike, just cleared the plate. Then he left that one out a little bit higher over the plate, and he just muscled it in the center field. You don't hear me say that a lot. They got a lot of strong players on this team. So here's Kevin Bazak. One down, one on. We are in the bottom of the second. Bazar, line drive rod by Chapo. Chapo laid out, diving, made the catch. And again, without a glove, that ball's probably a deflection. And again, when you play a team like Resmondo or any major team in this tournament, you do have to go clean defensively. saw the effect of an error earlier in that bottom of the first, and opened up the floodgates a little bit. So CJ trying to reach into his bag of tricks, doing everything we can to try to disrupt the timing here. And there's a high pitch outer part of the plate.
There you go.
Couldn't get out around it. So Riley flies out to end the inning. So Iron gets what they needed, which was a goose egg. Great play by Chapo Salinas. And we'll see if this young Iron team gets a lead 5-0 as we head to the top of the third.
Hey, hitter's day. Let's go.
Gotta go, boys. Come on.
So this is one of those games
Go, Joe. Come on.
where pitchers got to be really locked in.
I can't decide what you're doing.
If there's one thing we know about CJ, when I go for Iron, is he's an intense kid when he's on the field. So we'll see, now that he's been through the lineup, if he can continue to try to slow this Resmondo team down.
What's up, Joe?
So CJ working his tail off. It's going to be Joe Welgos, who was on the All-Geo team last year. He was kind of like my honorary captain, kind of like the All-Madden. And I wouldn't be surprised if, as the tournament goes on, you can see they play a little flatter arc in the 12-inch, and Clark is, I'm surprised that we're not seeing more pitches being taken. And Joe flares it the other way, caught there by the left fielder. Again, they are really squeezing down, playing very shallow. And until you back them up a little bit, a lot of these balls that might normally drop in are going to be caught. And here's Mark Galaga. And we talk all the time, when you come down like that as an outfielder, you don't have any angles. So if something gets hit hard toward the gap, it's hard to cut it off if it's a line drive, and it's a long way to run if it's even got a little air under it. And Mark, a little soft line drive to the shortstop. Again, if you're a cutter, Clark would be a tough guy to cut against because he doesn't really throw a lot of pitches up in the air much. So if you want to cut against him, you're going to have to think about moving up in the box a little bit. So here's the pitcher, CJ, and he looks like he's in take mode. And there's a strike there. So CJ is going to make Clark work here a little bit, it looks like. And that's deep. 3-1 count. And you can see he's not quite comfortable yet pitching the 16-inch ball. It's a different strike zone. And Iron puts a base runner on here with 2 outs for Marco Macias. Well, the thing you got to remember, too, is Tony Perchinsky, Hall of Fame left fielder, who played most of his career with the 45s and tail end of it with me. And Marco, little flare, that's going to be nice catch there by Junior Villalobos on the sidelines. He used to tell our young outfielders that percentage-wise, more balls are going to land in front of you than over the top. And he used to tell our kids, if you don't get beat 5 times a year over the top, you're not playing the position right. And he was a great mentor to A.J. Koya, who was just a terrific player. And there's a little flare, and that is going to drop. And you can see Marco, a bigger kid, so they played him just a hair deeper, and that ball dropped in. So I'll make a mental note, and we'll check next time Marco's up whether or not the left fielder out there, Josh Riley, maybe squeezes him. So here's the leadoff man, Tyler Atkins, and they are squeezing Tyler a little bit. Nate Kremkow on deck.
Hey,
Deep.
So again, Iron looks like they're making a concerted effort here to take a few more pitches. And ball does have to be minimum 6 feet. And of course, pitchers are always lobbying. And called that a ball. And Clark doesn't like the strike zone.
Come on, Nate, dog. What's on the board here, kid?
So it's important here when you are playing a new game like Resmondo is, you know, you have to adapt to the strike zone. And I'm a big believer that balls and strikes are more of an art than a science, because just like Major League Baseball, everybody's got a different idea of what's a ball and a strike, talking about umpires. So there he drops a strike in. And again, if you're Travis Clark, you can't get bogged down mentally in that. You just got to take a deep breath and try to make an adjustment. And that pitch, and again, the 16-inch game. And there's a little flare down the right field side, but caught. Again, they're squeezing them. If Iron doesn't start taking advantage of how shallow they're playing the outfielders, find a way to drive some balls toward the alleys, it could be a long game for them. So we head to the bottom of the third here, 5-0.
Hey, let's keep it here.
I'm gonna slam into that.
You scared me, man.
So I'm going to grab a little water here on a warm day in Joliet, Illinois, and I'll be right back, folks.
Let's go, CJ, work. That cooler just full of like snack pack pudding. Now I know you're lying. Probably, yeah. We only played one game.
And CJ tried to sneak a fastball past him, Nate Kremkow. So Pearson hit it right on the screws, but right at the center fielder. And it's interesting to note, you can see where the shadows are. If you're in center field, right center, left center, and you look back toward home, you're looking up with a bright sun there. You can see where CJ's shadow is on the mound. It's almost directly behind him. And Nate looked like he was trying to keep the ball out of the sun there, but he made a great adjustment. And there's a swing and a line drive handled by CJ's Matusik. Hits a rocket. CJ caught that like he was playing catch. Nice play there by CJ on the hill. We saw a couple of wicked line drives get caught last night by Avila on impact. So that's going to bring up Phil Matt. And he hits a knuckleball into center. Nate Krempko gets on it and gets it in, and he holds him to a hard single. And Phil looked pretty good. He had a couple of good swings in the All-Star game yesterday. So that's going to bring up Bubba Mack, the third baseman. And Bubba ground ball to CJ, and that'll do it. And Joe Welgos flips off the glove and makes the catch. So Iron, since the first, they've gotten a couple of goose eggs. The big question is, can they get their offense on track? And again, they don't have the hammer, so we head to the top of the fourth, 5-0. Resmondo kind of sitting on that 5 spot for 2 innings. Irons had a little something to do with it, as since the first inning, their defense has picked up. And Bolinas with the great play, CJ on that line drive. So we'll make sure after I get done streaming this game, I'll make sure that the live bracket board is updated.
Come on, boys. Let's go open up. Boys, let's go. Let's hit now.
Well, Chuck, all of us here in Chicago, grew up playing without mitts. We did it every day, grammar school, picnics, when we started playing in leagues. So we're just used to it, and I love the no-glove game, no doubt about it. But, you know, we have the Forest Park No-Glove Nationals, and that's really kind of the unofficial major level no-glove national championship. So I don't mind that there's a glove major national championship on Labor Day. I think if you can win both, you're a pretty good softball team. And you can see Iron really now, last couple innings, taking more pitches. And that's a little deep. I think part of the problem with what Clark is doing. And there's a little flare, and Billy Quirk leads off with a base hit. Big turn, but he'll hustle back. Billy Quirk had a big hit in the All-Star game last night. Illinois made a frantic comeback and fell a little short in that game. So it brings up Lane Neiman Jr., and they're playing Lane kind of shallow. I'll get back to my point about Clark in a second. The strike zone is, the higher it is, the closer to the point it has to land. The flatter it is, it can land deeper. But the problem when you throw it deep like that, you still got to get 6 feet. And Lane swung at and he dropped the throw at second. Now they're trying to con the umpire into saying it was on the transfer, but his bare hand never got near the ball. He was kind of trying to swipe at the throw, and it fell out. So there's a break for Iron. Little chink in the Resmondo defense. We'll see if they can capitalize. Chapo Bolinas now, last at bat. Oh, he was trying to load up and he missed it. A lot of sun there, but the shortstop hung with it. So Chapo, who cut the last time, was definitely trying to go big there. Problem is, he swung at a high pitch. Couldn't quite, even if he'd have barreled that up, I think he would have hit that foul. But I think the way Clark throws, if you want to drive something, he's going to give you something flat at some point to do it with. So you got to be patient in the box. And there he gets him to bite on a real low throw, and they'll get the fielder's choice for out number 2. So right now we've seen kind of a weird thing going on. We got some Iron hitters taking a lot of pitches and being patient, but then we've seen a couple just get a little anxious. So they had their first 2 guys on. Next 2 were kind of easy outs. And again, when you're playing any real good team, you can't let these types of opportunities go by the board. And Joe working the count here. What's up, Phil? So now the bases are loaded. There are 2 outs. Good example, if Mark Kalaga was to hit something through a gap in the outfield, Iron could jump right back into this ballgame. This is a big at-bat here. And he just hits it on the ground. Nobody at second. Kalaga beats it. And Iron's on the board. Now he's going to try to score, and he'll make it. Short center was not at the bag. Or I should say the second baseman. The short center got it. Mark Kalaga hustling down the line. They got the runner in a rundown, but threw the ball back to third too fast. And as soon as it left his hands, he just changed directions and bolted home. So Iron 5-2. And here's CJ, could help his own cause. And we saw his first at-bat, CJ was real patient. And CJ, once in a while, he can go to a gap. He's not real consistent, but he's working the count. You got Marco Macias, and he walks. So the bases are loaded. See, CJ's got a little giddy-up, old hockey injury. So Iron here, a hit or 2 away here from flipping the script. And Resmondo, a couple of errors in this inning, has hurt him. And Marco, little soft flare, that's going to do it. But Iron breaks the seal. They get on the board, 5-2. Again, Resmondo, a little sloppy. They've been sitting on that 5 spot since the first. And halfway through, it's a 3-run ball game. And you know, if you're Resmondo, one of the things that you play with when you don't put any team away, it's not Resmondo, it's any team. When you have an advantage and you let a team hang around and they start to gain a little bit more confidence, that sometimes they turn into a monster on you. So these guys are... Guys, can you slide one way or the other with this? Thank you. So let's see if Iron putting a couple on the board, if this maybe doesn't get Resmondo back into an offensive frame of mind. Quirk got there all right, but looked like the ball hit the heel of his glove. And he bobbled it. Went a long way to get there, but couldn't make the play. So the pitcher, Travis Clark, leads off with a hit, brings up Buddy Wolf. So both teams here in the 4th inning, not quite grabbing the ball well. And Billy, who plays a little outfield, I notice he's wearing kind of a big glove. Not a big fan of that for an infielder. And Buddy Wolf's got kind of a strange setup, almost like he wants to go maybe down that left field line. Very close stance. And when he loads his hands, he's pointing that lead hip right to left field. And he draws a walk. So, again, the umpire telling him for that height, the pitch was deep. So it's going to bring up the shortstop, Kyle Pearson, not to be confused with the first baseman, Kyle Pearson. So nobody out here, error in a walk, usually a bad recipe. when you're playing defense.
Watch you! Watch you, Manny!
And there's a high fly ball, and that pitch is wide, way wide.
Go, man. Just fucking play the game, man. Let's go. Stay in this.
I don't mind the banter, fellows, but we got a lot of kids and stuff that watch this stuff. So, Justin, please don't swear on the stream.
Get out there for the cuts.
And it does, the thing about Resmondo is you got to understand these guys are getting paid to play 12-inch. They get flown all over the country, so they get the pick of the litter in a lot of ways, which are advantages that a lot of the teams here in Chicago, the big teams, try to, recruit kids, but there's no, budget for it. So in that context, of course, they were going to be a load coming in. So we'll see what happens as they move through the event and start running into some of the more higher level major teams. So the bases are loaded and brings up Corey Briggs. And he goes to the gap, and that is going to get Toomey makes the catch. He waved the glove and made the catch. And now they're going to go and ask if he tagged at second. Umpire says yes. Run did score. But a great job there. Kalaga got to it. Had that ball dropped, the carousel would have really been spinning. As he waved the glove at the last minute and the ball stuck in there. Now there's a high pop-up. Here comes Tyler. And he does not look home. He just went to second on it. Another run scores. So Resmondo, after having the bases loaded and nobody out, the great play by Kalaga. And now the little fly ball. They do score 2. Here's Bazat. Again, the inning started out a little shaky as CJ induced a ground ball. Billy Quirk couldn't make the play. And there's a line drive, base hit. And they throw it in, and they slam the brakes on for a double. So good job there by Kalaga getting on it and getting it in. Saved the run temporarily. And now they're back to the top of their lineup with Josh Riley. So again, the error and the walk both have scored in this inning. We're working on it, Mel. But that was a highlight reel catch. And, of course, Kalaga dropped that fly ball in the first, so, he's... Oh! And they call him out on a fancy pickoff play. Now, you got to understand, Macias and CJ played together on Smackout. And Smackout was always trying to pick you off. And that was pretty well designed. Macias cut in front of the base runner. And as soon as he did, he took a step toward second. And CJ, the no-look, backhanded throw to second. And they get the tag to end the inning. So, pretty slick pickoff. And even the Resmondo guys are laughing. They thought that was pretty. I can't call you not flashy anymore, Danny. So they brought it out at the right time. 7-2. Resmondo does pick up those 2 runs Iron got in the top of the 4th. to extend back out to 5, but Iron just kind of hanging around in this ball game. And they're at the top of their lineup, so this is a good opportunity to try to continue to get back in the game here. Tyler Atkins, Nate Kremkow, Billy Quirk. And there's a little base hit by Tyler Atkins. Good speed aboard to lead off here in the top of the 5th. Again, Tyler, I believe, is finishing up at Dayton University. I think he just turned 21. And that's the thing about Iron. Tyler, Nate, Brian Toomey. They got a lot of younger kids. So here's Nate Kremkow. And again, the Resmondo outfield continuing to challenge Iron. And the wind has picked up slightly, blowing straight out to right center field. And there, he just got it off the trademark. And into that cross breeze. That's left field is going to be tough to necessarily drive something because of that cross breeze. Where you want to hit the ball is center field to the right field line. Here's Billy Quirk. Inadvertently called him Jamie yesterday. I was a little punchy and reverted back to the baseball player. And he grabs a strike there.
Oh, good, Bill. Here we go.
And there's a ball, I believe.
Oh, Bill, keep it moving.
Called that illegal. That pitch, I don't think, was even 4 feet high. And there he spanks it toward the alley. And that ball gets through a little bit. 1 run is in. Quirk's going to get a triple. And that's what we talked about. Billy Quirk just threw a line drive toward the left center field alley. They were squeezing him, had no angle. And it falls in for a triple. So we got a 7-3 ball game with Lane Neiman Jr. here. Great opportunity to, at a minimum, cut this game to 3. And that's a little deep. Now, if you're Lane, you want to be patient. Lane's got some pop.
Don't change the strike zone.
Man. Look at that strike zone. That's terrible.
And there Lane reached down there for a low pitch and popped it up. Should be enough to score Quirk. He will. 7-4. So Iron grabs those 2 runs that Resmondo got, bottom of the 4th, and they're just hanging around. And here's Chapo. So the problem here, the way Clark is pitching, we don't normally see this type of velocity that low during the summer. And Chapo, little cut shot. But again, he tried to go big his last time up and popped it up a little bit, so the outfield never made an adjustment on him. And they get it. But in the inning, Iron scratches a couple. They maintain contact at 7-4. We head to the bottom of the 5th. So if you're Iron here, you got to feel pretty good about the fact that you haven't really got your offense on track. You're only down a 3 spot. CJ doing a great job. He gave up 5 in the first, only 2 since. And hate to harp on it, but, you know, the drop fly ball was really the reason they got the 5. Might have been a 2-run inning other than that. And if that was the case, we'd be looking at a 5-4 ball game. But of course, error is part of the game. So here's Jason Matuzik. Then it'll be Phil Matt and Bubba Mack. So CJ having a little fun, rolled a pitch in there, and you know the umpires don't like that. They don't like to get shown up. And there's a little ground ball up the middle to Macias, and Marco about as smooth as it gets over there. He was an addition on through the add drop process, and like I said, he had played many years with CJ on Smackout. And that'll bring up Matuzik.
Your guy last time.
Or excuse me, Pearson. I was one hitter off. And there's a wicked knuckleball into the alley. Pearson's going to chug, and he'll get to third. 1 out triple. So CJ left it up over the plate, and he tomahawks it up the alley into left center field for could have been a stand-up triple, but I think he slid there. Brings up Matuzik. And there's a ground ball, and it gets past Bolinas, who was playing almost in the baseline. You know, I know you're trying to cut off a run, but I think what your better strategy there is to play at the regular depth, because now a ball that you may have had an opportunity to get gets past you, and now you got bigger problems. So here's Phil Matt, and he hits a line drive. That's going to score another run. So every time Iron cuts it to 3, Resmondo's been able to come right back and score a couple of runs and push it back to 5. And here's Bubba Mack, the third baseman. And again, I think CJ's left a couple of pitches up in the eyes, and he can't make the catch. They'll get the fielder's choice. Might have been a double play, but it hit him right in the palm and bounced out. So he's saying, looked like he was indicating it might actually hit down toward the heel of the glove.
Yeah, Billy, on your toes, on your toes.
Infield, get some range.
So the ball was smoked, and there's a high, long fly ball. Tyler Atkins makes the catch. But in the inning, they again answer the 2 with the 2, and we head to the top of the 6th, 9-4. So again, you got an interesting ball game here. Almost as if Resmondo's turning it on and off depending on whether they feel challenged or not.
That's the best here. Let's go. Who we got up, guys? Who we got up? Yeah, that's right. It's still there.
So here we go. It's going to be Brian Toomey, Joe Welgos, and Mark Kalaga.
Let's go. He literally just went up there, coming in like this. I just think it would be fast.
Let's go, man. Go, 4. Let's go, kid. Go, Benny. Hey, kid, come on. Come on, you and Joe jump right in, kid.
Pretty snappy ball game.
Let's go, Manny.
Was scheduled for 11:15. It started a few minutes late. Started about 7-8 minutes late, so takes that pitch for a ball. So 2-1 here. And there's a bullet, and that'll get in front of the left fielder. Hard humpback. And that was a good at-bat. He took a couple of pitches. He settled in.
Okay, Joe gets on Preston, Danny.
Timed it up. And brings up Joe Welgos. So good speed on first. And Welgos, Pearson, a slight bobble. They get to fielder's choice. And Clark did not come cover, so there was nobody over there. And again, up 5, you saw Pearson was very deliberate, made sure he made a good, strong throw. And he wasn't really concerned about coming back to first there. So here's Kalaga. And they might be hitting for CJ. It looks like Memo is going to go grab a bat. Memo Morales. And CJ, a very competitive hitter. He actually went up to Danny and threw that idea out. Kalaga off the shortstop's glove. And again, that's another problem when you're playing everybody so tight in the baseline. Kalaga smoked it. Shortstop tried to climb the ladder, Pearson, but he couldn't make the play off the fingertips. And here's the pinch hitter, Memo Morales.
Preston, it's Kyle.
Hey, you just admit that I'm faster than you?
So they put the pinch runner in, Preston.
Let's go, Memo.
Come on, 2-9. Oh,
Memo takes a strike. Memo been around a long time with Danny.
level, kid. Go, Memo.
And there's a sky-high pop-up. Clark under it. Infield fly rule in effect. So 2 outs now. Brings up Marco Macias. So Irons had a few base runners, but haven't really been able to open up an inning here.
Come on, Marco.
And sometimes, even in softball, you hear it in baseball all the time, a guy's effectively wild. And that's what's going on here. Clark's throwing the ball all over the place. He's thrown just enough strikes. But as a hitter, you never really know where he's going to throw it. And there he sweeps it. Second baseman, fumble it. Can't find the ears on it. Ball had a lot of spin. He got there. Reckart went down on it instead of staying on his feet. And as he was kind of sliding and moving a little bit, the ball spun through his legs. So top of the lineup here with Tyler Atkins. 2 outs here. Don't want to go to the 7th down 5, even if you pick up 1 or 2 here with 2 outs. And there he hits it, but big Sunday hop, and kind of spiked the throw a little bit. So Record, a little bit of an interesting inning there defensively.
right, boys, let's go. Let's go.
Well, they've looked good. They're hitting the ball a little bit better than you might expect. And Iron, with their youth, is a competitive team at the major level for sure. But they haven't run into a signature or a 45 or a flashback team yet. So we'll see as the tournament progresses what's going to shake out here. But so far, they've looked pretty good.
Work, CJ. Hey.
So it's going to be Buddy Wolf leading off, Travis Clark, Kyle Pearson, the shortstop Kyle Pearson, and then Corey Briggs. There's a sky-high fly ball, no man's land, and nobody can get to it. So little flare in no man's land. That's where the wind was kind of hurting it. Macias and Quirk were running out. The wind just kept pushing it away. Center fielder couldn't get there. A leadoff bloop double. And it brings up the shortstop, Pearson. And there's a ground ball, and it sneaks through. 10th run is going to score here. So we are in the bottom of the 6th inning here.
How's everything?
So CJ's working as hard as he can. There's a line drive off of CJ's mitt into center field, and they're going to hold the runner. Runner's on the corner with nobody out is Briggs. CJ kind of indicating it went right off the top of the glove. And that'll happen. Some of these bigger gloves, after they get worn in, they get a little floppy toward the end. So Resmondo's opened up now their biggest lead of the ball game at 10-4.
There you go. Work, kid, work.
So Brad Reckert, little fly ball. Toomey is tracking it. Another run will score, and now Briggs is going to try to go to second, and he'll make it 11-4.
A lot of you, Maddie, a lot of you.
That's going to bring up Kevin Bazat. And he slashes it right to Bolinas for out number 2. And I do have to say, I think coming into, I don't want to say a hostile environment because everybody's been treating them pretty well here, but I think that coming in, Resmondo's handled themselves very well.
Stay there.
They have not been arrogant or cocky. They've been pretty down to earth in my conversations with the players on the team.
Stay there.
And that's a new one. CJ threw that from almost right onto the grass. And there's a long one in the alley. No one's going to get that one. 2 hops the fence. Another run scores. And Josh Riley goes to. So they have opened it up now. It's 12-4. Brings up Josh Riley. No, I'm sorry.
Well, if you want to do him, that's one thing, but that's Slaughter would be a second.
So Iron just wanted to know. It's 12-4. And they're going to put the potential mercy run rule. Doesn't really make much sense, to be honest with you. You just put the run that can end the game on base. So, I'm not quite sure.
There's 2 outs now.
There's
I didn't see one out of this.
there's 2 outs to boot, so they're not even really setting up a double play. I think Iron might have lost track of the outs for a second. And Matuzak gets a base hit. Pearson's going to go to third. And it's now 13-4. So not quite sure there. I think that might have been a miscalculation there by Iron. There are 2 outs. And they're still trying to figure out how many outs there are. And the thing is, you're right at the top of this lineup. You got Phil Matt coming up, the 4th place hitter. So I don't know if that's what came into play here.
All right, let's go. Yeah. Now you walk in to get me.
So now you do got to walk a guy. If you want to set up a fielder's choice, Matusik in the box. No, I'm sorry, Matusik is at first. This is Phil Matt. So now they'll walk him to get to Bubba Mac. And there's a little chopper. Macias will just step on it, so we will go to the 7th. So CJ said he asked the umpire how many outs there were, and that's why they walked the guy. But with 2 outs there, you might as well just pitch to the hitter.
Well, here's it. I asked them, we had 13. They said yes. They said yes. They had 13, so we didn't know the score. I didn't want to talk to him. That's why I confirmed it with him. And then he said yes. So maybe he didn't even confirm the table, but I don't. Is it why do we do not know what's going on? This is fucking terrible.
Well, Zach, we'll see if anybody gets to 10. Impact and Iron are not known as high-scoring 16-inch teams. So some of the teams like Circus, Flashback, Signature, they have what we call big boy offenses. So we'll see what happens. I know one thing, if they're going to play some of those teams as shallow as they've played Impact and Iron, there are going to be runs scored. So we'll see what happens. That's why we play them. So Nate Kremkow, Billy Quirk, and Lane Neiman Jr., 2-3-4. Iron trailing by 9. Right now, if you're the Iron guys, you're just looking to throw your best ball out there. You're not thinking, you're not advancing, guys. And you should be up there free swinging. And Nate swings, and he drops a hit in there. So Nate Kremkow, base hit, little inside-out swing. And now as we've come here to the seventh, first time we've had no breeze whatsoever, flag drooping out there straight down. It brings up Billy Quirk, tripled his last time. They're still squeezing him. And that time he tried to go down the line as they were, left fielder was off the line, shaded toward center field. They were still playing him shallow, Billy trying to go down that left field line. If it was fair, it would have been trouble. So if you're Iron, you basically got to spin your lineup here.
I know what that hair you probably are.
And Billy now goes to the other gap, and he splits it. And that's going to drive one in. Quirk is going to probably have himself a home run. 13-6. Now you know why he was on the All-Star team. He's got a triple and a homer in the ball game. And that's exactly what I've been trying to say is if you're going to play people shallow, that's the ball you need, the little humpback toward a gap. And Billy hit it hard, and it rolled all the way to the warning track. And on grass, that's pretty impressive. And Lane Neiman off to trademark again. That'll be out number one. Brings up Chapo Bolinas, Iron down to their last two outs.
Guardians of the Galaxy? You never watched Guardians of the Galaxy? What kind of human being are you? I don't even know. Yes, Ricky Barker.
Heads up, Atkins. So Danny Atkins giving nutritional information for the parents on the sidelines. He said he's telling parents, Pop-Tart's kid. And Chapo finally got one hard. He tried to do it his last two at-bats, back-to-back home runs, 13-7. And again, for Iron, even if they should not erase this lead completely, how you finish sometimes is very important going into your next game. And to be honest with you, these last two hitters could be a blueprint of what you need to do here. Just got to be patient because Clark will throw you a ball you can drive. Now, he'll put a little more velocity on it, and there, Toomey trying to go big. He got tied up. That pitch was inner half. Couldn't pull his hands through to get the barrel on it. And again, I think kids, a lot of times guys want to get fully extended. Sometimes in that situation, you got to lead with your front elbow and let the barrel lag. And then you can barrel that up and you can still get a lot of juice on it. So here's Joe Welgos, Iron down to their last out. Game effort by Iron. A couple of mistakes cost them early. Resmondo did what they had to do. After taking a couple innings off and letting Iron get close, they got re-engaged. And they got re-engaged, and I think the two pitchers are commiserating about the strike zone. Joe Welgos flares that out of play. So 13-7. Resmondo's look good, but they're going to have to pick it up a little bit, I think, as the tournament goes on.
Go get that bucket, Memo. Right, Dennis.
And there's a little roller up the middle, short center, nice play. So Resmondo goes to 2-0 as they defeat a game Iron team 13-7. So we hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We're going to have more softball coming up today, and we hope you enjoyed it. Come on out to the park. You got plenty of time. Gorgeous, gorgeous weather. They're grilling. A lot of cold beverages. One of the best concession stands in softball right here in Joliet at the Park District. Talk to you soon.